fairly soon. So don't point me. So I'm just going to go back over with some query examples. So you talked very briefly and quickly about the kind of queries that you can do on the system. Just to reiterate, at this time, in the development cycle, our main focus has been on registration and making sure the data is getting in there correctly. It hasn't been on querying, but we do have to provide you some tools to be able to query. So the main thing that we have is just this one search box. Search box will search across everything. So much like, it's kind of like the Google-like search. It's just going to search anything for any total, as if each one of these substances are like web pages, and it's just telling you really quickly, yes, this word shows up inside of that thing. For a lot of things, it's not as, it doesn't show you some of the more robust natures of the API to be able to do field searches and so on. But it's still useful for finding some basic stuff. So if I was going to search for, and you can type in. You want the substance that's been associated with the name ambient. Just a quick overview of what you're seeing on the results page. Oh, yeah, this is okay. So this is the first point I have to make is that that in our installation instructions, we probably were terribly clear. The ISO installation instructions should grant you a preliminary database, and an installation should not give you a preliminary database. It should be blank. If you're not getting any results for ambient, and you do have a preliminary database, that's something we need to know about. The picture. To report it and the picture. That's right. The best way to do this is just search for ambient and nothing comes back. I'm pretty sure. But I can give you an API call that you can do just to see what the total substance counts are.
They can download a Tyler online to import the data into the system. You know, for the local install.
So that's a good question, Larry. So as of right now, we have the script ourselves. They'll just populate and go through. They just put taking as they are and then posting in. The procedure for doing that we haven't made terribly user friendly. Okay. So we just prefer for people to get use the interface on Health Canada. Okay. Or if you get it already prepackaged and pre-installed, then that's somewhat useful. We can make the code available to do it the hard way. We just don't want people to get so overwhelmed by trying to do this.
How many slides you don't find?
Health Canada, you don't.
Yeah, I'm coming.
We're able to find it. It's stress tested, so.
Fine. No. Can you do me now?
More to the content.
Yeah, I think it's So yeah, I can make a quick comment on that. I noticed yesterday, this happened before, it's if you're active on a session for, I don't know what the timeout is, if it's 5 minutes or 15 minutes or 30 minutes,
Yeah, it's going faster than that. Sometimes the session can time out. And then the client actually winds up in this inconsistent state where the credentials it has are no longer valid, but it's trying to submit them to Canada credentials. And so then the server doesn't return any results because you've supplied invalid credentials. So instead, what you need to do is just click on the log out button and then log in, and then the searches will work, and then you'll be able to see the database content.
Okay. But it doesn't work so.
It doesn't work. So okay. Maybe that's not the issue then.
Yeah, I think it is, but so I believe many people are able to see this. And there are people who is there more than one person who's not able to search for answers? Okay.
I'm on the.
Does anybody else not get it?
And when you do
No, from Canada.
Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, great.
Yeah, I would. Can we do it in Chrome? Yeah,
So in the local database, you just have to make sure you have.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what IE first?
You have to be sure that you have.
You're
Oh, is
right.
that you have to make sure that you have the database installed.
It was an Internet Explorer
Issue.
older version. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I should read it again from the start again. We refer for at least for this demo for you to focus on trying to use Chrome or Firefox.
Yeah.
This is the main area that we've been testing the browsers in, and I think you're going to get results from that.
Yeah.
If at all possible, please use one of those browsers. Yeah.
Pick up the query and let's see.
Yeah.
And enlarge it a little bit.
Sure.
The whole picture. Everybody can read it. Mike, do this. That your result, and you put the name alien. But alien is not the INN or and so on. So I prefer that when you query you get inbuilt at least and the INN name and also particular things on the left box, but also the name search for and not in the query. But now you are not sure that Damium is equal to some Duitsers.
No, I think that's a very good point. So to read it, what Herman was just saying was that getting these query results right back at this point, he's unclear of why this result came back. It's obvious this result came back, and in this case, I think it's really obvious why it did. But see exactly why it did. It's not spelled out.
Yeah.
And that, furthermore, the ambient is never shown on the screen at this point. One point that's I think that's a very good point. If you want to add an issue, you could. I can just do it. The one point I'll say is that there are two views for the data now. This is the grid layout, which is useful for a large set of structures, substances. We're trying to variety glance. The second view will see a little bit more detail. It's not very well formatted now. You'll see all these names.
How do we come to that?
There are two icons at the top of the search result. One is that is a grid. The other one is a list.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So they basic information associated with the list. Let's do it.
This is a trick to get to the INN. You need to go to the voice. Yeah. Okay. But this answer is in compliance with the annex. We told in the annex we have structure and the INN. And the systematic name and the molecular weight and so on. Those information must be in one picture.
So this information is certainly available for them.
Yeah.
There's the at a glance search result. Obviously there's only so much real estate you can have, so you can show certain things you'll spill over to other
views. This is very good. Okay. I have the second screen.
Very nice.
Way to make the list view of your default.
At this moment, there's not. There are user preferences. We will add that as well.
Clean up this. It is kind of.
So to reiterate, of course, I'm kind of starting off with the things that we've worked the least on, which is the search results.
That will look a lot better. Tyler, it's a full word match, right? The way the search works, it's a contains match.
You can, yeah, exactly. So you can, I believe you can do a contains match if you use a star.
Yeah, I'm gonna show them that, yeah. Like the IN's back or something, you can just do with the term.
I'm sorry.
No, that's not right either.
You have on.
It's just, you get that M what's wrong. If you stop there and, yeah.
Okay.
So right now, to the full contains match, this is actually something of an issue. The search results right now are just doing it exactly what you say. The API allows you to do a star match and match and all those other things. This is a very simple search right now. So if you want any of the advanced fielded searches, I refer you to the API query options, which I'll go in a little bit more in more detail tomorrow. It would be fairly simple. We haven't had the resources yet just to add advanced search button here that just helps you build that query, but haven't done it.
There.
So in order to go back, you can also click the home button and then the home search result. The search that you have active will always be in the search box as well. That is not removed when you refresh the page.
Why?
Again, so I just spoke with John Husselman. They did raise the temperature this morning, but it's taking a little bit of time, I guess, for the heat to actually. They're keeping an eye on it. I apologize. I think because it's so cold out this morning, and we try to keep the room cold.
Yeah. May have compensated.
Yeah, we will definitely.
I'm sorry, Carmen?
Yeah, what is behind you said that you get this kind of structures when you put insult with them. What is
The other results are impurities associated with pharmaceutics.
Yeah. So basically what it is right now, is, I guess this search is a very dumb search. It's just a Google-like search. So what the words open them shown up in some area of that region. So in this case, it's shown up. So many of these have shown up as impurities. Other ones have some sort of general relationship. Some of them are like active moiety relationships. So it's very general.
For instance, in the EPR, when they say like zoltan and impurity C, we would actually capture that name. So you get all these impurities that USP they may have.
But then when you click on one of those items, you get with some information. What is the relationship?
Yeah.
So that's a very good question.
Yeah.
As of right now, you can take into the record where you can see all those relationships.
Yeah.
But what would be probably nice, ideally, is you could kind of see how these things are related at once.
Because you put question, you get some answers, you get some differences.
Yep.
I like to know why you get the answers, so the machine has to provide that with that kind of information.
Sure. So let me actually go forward with this. To speak to your point, Herman.
Yeah.
So after you see these results, you want to see the details about these results. You double click the record.
Yeah. Which do you take? So.
Yes, open it. As on the structure, that will open up the view.
Yeah.
But double click on anywhere else on the tab. To make that point, if I actually, let me just say, you click the link on the top, and I should make a point on this. So what you'll see right here, whenever you're looking at a set of top part of the tab of the is the status ID of that record. In case the approval IDs that we're using are the unis. They, in the future they don't need to be. They just happen to be in this snapshot. These unis, if you see, they'll say approval ID : whatever the approval ID is. If you've just registered a new substance, they won't have the approval ID because they've not been approved, and they'll just say substance. And then you click on that. But you can always click on this top link in order to see what the record is.
And then,
I do it for Zolpidem. If I click on the top link, so the definition of the record, along with all the information associated with it.
now, when's our registered, what is
So the internal system ID right now is a UUID that's generated.
okay.
That ID is persistent for each system, but it would be persistent across systems. It's the
So when we update your thing, we won't override everything. We'll be able to, anything you put in, we'll keep.
we're working on a process to kind of get out the delta. So if I can just talk a little bit about what the general record layout is at this moment. The general philosophy here is that the top part are the definitional information. So anything that you're seeing for across the substance classes, those definitional elements will be on the top tab. So in this, the definitional elements include structure, the definition, and the alternative definition. Larry has mentioned previously, there are times when there are substance definitions that are considered to be synonymous, and we have the ability to add alternative representations to define those substances. In this case, just going over very, very briefly. Now, going below, to answer your point, Herman, what you'll be able to see is you'll be able to see the relationships tab. So there are many tabs. So we start at the beginning. There's a tab which will show you each one of the names that's been associated with this record, along with some of the status and whether it's preferred or whether and so on. See here just what type of name it is, what language it's the name in. You'll see if you scroll down for the result of them. Yeah, Arabic, French, Latin, Chinese, so on. If you this name is just a general, very quick view of what these names are. But expand on the record by clicking the down arrow. See the more detailed information associated with this name. Yeah. So on a given name row, there is a arrow. The expansion icon. On that icon. Words so that you can see the full information about that record. You'll be able to see things like if it's an official name, you can add things like what the official naming organization is, and what domain the name is relevant to. There are times when an official name in a cosmetic or a substance is different than the official name in a drug, or it's in the official name in a food, and so on. Similarly, there might be different times when a given name has different in different jurisdictions. Data can be changed and viewed inside of this view.
About the minus.
So this is a good point to get over. The red minus icon, probably maybe that's an concept that we have to delineate the idea of delete. But if you will be able to delete something, that red icon needs to delete. So if, for instance, right now this is language that would be English. You can select many different languages for this. This may be a German, Greek, and this may be relevant. This name might actually be useful, but the same string characters in many different languages would click OK down below to save it. This actually gets saved to the server, or if you're a registered user who's capable of updating it.
And you can say toll and so.
Yes, if you say cancel, then you would, then.
Again, we probably should prompt Tyler when you make a change.
That's safe to play.
Try to move off it.
Yeah.
Well, we should prompt Tyler when you make a change and you haven't hit the OK button.
Absolutely.
Right, we may not have that in there yet, but.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Because these buttons. Don't touch these
Don't
buttons.
touch this button.
Yeah.
No, but.
We will let you know.
So, but the concept of ownership of a record, so if a green record has been approved.
Yep.
Then you can come along and mess it up.
So that's, improve it. Yeah, they can improve it. So the general thing is just that there's two components. There's a trail for everything. So the history saves and you can revert back to previous versions, which is fairly important to be able to do. The thing is, any registered user who has the authority to register and to make there's actually go into this just briefly. There
have a legitimate agreement to be two parties.
absolutely.
Both
No, yeah.
good arguments.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, that's right. Now, there's Evan mentions the aluminium argument, which apparently is the longest running Wikipedia edit history that's ever been.
Sulfur, try right behind.
Sulfur, talking behind it, and which way you spell these things. And of course, aluminum and aluminium would just be added as two names. But to your question, their users have. Obviously, somebody who's viewing this wouldn't be able to add this. Your level of trust you're granting somebody to make them an editor and can change those records that aren't approved. Rather, a registrar can do that. An editor is a hire to change approved records and adds the changes to them.
User can't edit.
Yeah, and similarly, there's an approval process. So to be approved, you can put in a bunch of garbage here, but in order for it to be, and we'll get into this a little later, to get considered a real substance, at least one other person that put in meaning. So it makes the process slightly slower to put something in, and maybe not word slightly appropriate, pretty lower, but also protects against a lot of accidental little mistakes.
So how can other users see the entry and see that it's not yet approved, or is it a case of the users can't see the entry until it's approved?
So that's a great question. So at this moment, everyone can see even the unapproved one. In the future, we really add that to be a separate level to be able to see the unapproved one. So in this instance, you can see everything that's in the system as put into the system. But we'll almost certainly add another role to say, see approved. So,
Probably won't certain people will be allowed to actually approve.
So there is an approval role too. The one thing I'll add as follow up here is that the approval process, you can be the same person to approve. You can't make changes to the record and be like, oh, that's great, and then approve your own record. That's as much as Larry might like to be able to do that.
So, not asking for too much, is there a user guide, or do I need to make some notes about what you're telling us?
The thing is that we're in the process of writing a user's guide, so bear with us as we do. But if you,
And the other thing we'll add too, Tyler, is that even in FDA, there's some centers that don't want other centers to see their stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So we probably will have a role, a role for that, to control it at the record level, what people can see. Like, Tackle, for some reason, thinks that nobody else can look at their stuff.
That's right.
So we, in order to get an agency-wide system.
Yeah.
So, is there a contract
Yeah. So Evan just asked two great questions. Can anybody change a record? Can anybody change the change? That's a much more important question. And also, is there a rollback procedure? I think the point is, if you give change log, but someone can just go in there and remove the change log, then that sort of is defeating the purpose. Yeah. So I'll say for better or worse right now, there is no mechanism for someone to change. So for better or worse, in the future, are legitimate reasons to change the chain of chain, will probably have to be. Unless you want, it might end up being a very, very admin level thing to change the chain. But as right now, there is no way. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. Now, we shouldn't have given out the many usernames that we did. We'll have to monitor them pretty closely. What name showing up for various things. Third question was, is there a rollback ability? Yeah, there is. The mechanism is actually to view the history of the record, import the previous edition, and then just save it again. It's essentially the same. It's not direct. So we just have to choose which version you like the best, and then say, I'm going to revise that. As on ways to merge different people's views from other things, you kind of fall out. How do you want to share pitch? You want to share pitch. So you get something you want to say, this is how I merge these two. I like this one. I hate this one. So on. But that's
Long-term challenges, and when there are different polymers, which one to pick. And so the beauty of this system is that all the definitions will be there.
Yeah.
Now the challenge is which definition becomes the one.
This is a key one for informatics kind of question. I think it really matters whether you choose a given tautomer or is they're all equivalent. I think there's just some things for what do you call stylistic reasons. Someone would say, I hate tautomer, I like that tautomer play.
Yeah. So the one thing about the last couple of weeks was the yellow number 5, which is kind of a thing for FDA. It's tartrazine, and CAT represents it one way. Which represents it a different way. We actually went with this way because it actually describes more of the progress.
Just see CAS representing it 3 ways or 4 ways with different CAS numbers, but they're really the same thing, and that's,
I saw a hand up.
Yeah. If you want to enter a new synonym for the same substance, you enter the synonym a second time, not knowing that it's already a check system.
So there is right now. If you do it, it will flag things, but it doesn't ever. The general philosophy we've had so far is that very few things will completely fail. Most things are just trying to warn you this problem. So in the registration process, our main purpose of registration is not update the process. If you try to add a new name, it will flag you for that. But in the update process, if you wait a few minutes, it should. But if you don't, then you might miss it. So, questions so far? All right. To continue with the general query concepts, the only other one I'm going to talk about a little bit again is just the chemical structure searches. So the thing I want to mention is that any chemical structure, if you'd like, you can hover over that structure to get a done menu, so a slightly enlarged version of that structure, which sometimes shows up and doesn't remove. Someone has just pointed out to me in his email. So that was good to know. One of the buttons that's underneath there is the search button. If you search button, you'll get a pop-up which allows you to draw on that starting structure and do some searches. So in this case, this is defaulting to an exact search. Of course, it finds itself as an exact match for but if I were to delete certain things or remove things, I could get another record. I can change down below. If you look at the box, if I want to, I could start to just say I'm going to draw using this editor, and it will down below to see what the exact matches are for that record. If there will pop up. This is some useful if you're trying to see if a given chemical structure is the system. You can just see it by drawing. You can also let's say, for instance, polarity, in which case the most similar substances, structures to the one that you're searching, to the one that you're searching. down search type drop down. You can select chemical structure search you want to do. If you do a similarity search. Yeah, it means a chemical similarity. In this case, it's a Tanimoto coefficient on a chemical path-based fingerprint. Doesn't mean it's you, that's fine. If something and you want details, I can so it layman's terms. It's anything has some of the same collections of atoms in the same configuration. It still has those same kinds of connections to atoms in those same kinds of configurations. It's a statistical approach. It's not perfect, but if you're just saying like if the general atom environments of these two things are overlapping at this percentage. It's usually fairly good. If you can see down below, most of these substances are really similar to what you're seeing. So this is a Tanimoto search based on our chemical.
And you have to look at that in there right now, yeah.
Well, if you want to get into the code, there is an interface that you can extend to say how it is you want to do your features and things like that. As of right now, this is fairly hard coded. If you get into the code, we'll let you and you can do that. But right now, this is somewhat Tanimoto will work fairly well for most cases. Tanimoto and the fingerprint will. The other thing is if you have a very large chain, short chain, there can be some weird things that will happen. When you
switch between results in the SO 84
yeah.
and you switch between them, what is in this similarity?
So Herman, your question was, switching between them, what does the similarity mean?
Yeah. Because also the hydroxide on the other side.
Yep.
Right. It's not fully common.
Yep, that's exactly right. So what I've done here, I'll start from the beginning here to make sure that it's a little too many things just too quickly.
Okay.
So what I've done is I've opened up the search box. And I have the ambient structure, or rather the sulfate structure. I've chosen similarity. That list of substances based on chemical structure. The similarity metric that's on the top, that is a number between 0 and 1 that's representing the approximate similarity between two structures. So 1 means it's nearly identical, and point above means that it's fair. It has two things that chemists would say those are totally different. That are above, 0.9. You can get. So you can. I should mention just for the coming. You can get things that are very similar. They'll still show far away. The algorithm is imperfect. It has to work well for curation purposes and for just general browsing purposes.
Numbers to be, it depends on the number of atoms, basically, the number, and so the more you have, let's say, you can fine tune.
Not negative, it's only matches, and the total functional groups. Standard key set, Tyler, for this?
No, so this is a path-based fingerprint. So that I probably won't get into that too much.
Yeah.
It's a little bit too technical, but essentially, there's no preset list of keys. It's generated based on hashing algorithm.
Okay, so it's your own algorithm that
Yeah.
you're hashing. Okay.
So that's the general bit of this. Now let me just make a few minor comments. If you want to browse through those similar compounds, in the suggestions box there are 2 arrows on either side. You can sort through to see the next most similar compounds, to see those ones that are close enough to that structure. Similar you can do this is a common thing that I have to do, is that I'll start with thing and I'll say, oh, look kind of like this. Well, I look down below and this is sort of my my warmer, colder kind of thing. I draw the structure and I say, well, that's pretty close, and this one down below, that's a little closer. If you click it, it will import into the editor and it will rerun the search. And they're like, oh, actually, I'm warmer. And, oh, you know, warmer. And then I can find the compound I'm looking for. So this is something I do sometimes. It's sort of the same kind of results that people where they type in the word sort of close to the one that they had, and they can find things they're looking for. Yeah, that's how. All right, it really needs
Oh, yeah.
Is there any, know how many you have in?
So I just said, this is just a suggestion box. If you want to do the full search, click search button. We'll do the full search and show you all the results with paging.
Yeah, like all range time run it, or
On the Tanimoto?
80 or so.
I believe this one is just set off at 80. You can set that as a parameter. I just don't expose that as a slide.
Where do you set it? Oh, it's not exposed right now.
It's not exposed as a slide bar. So you can do it through the API, but
Yeah, we'll work it out and have it exposed.
how often do you need to search for something like this?
Yeah.
In case of sulfidemnus, you get a structure that has a sulfidemnus. So you can't search sulfidemnus.
It's a similarity search. It's interesting. The things that are similar to zolpidem down below, you'll see that actually none of these chemical structures are identical. They're all slightly different. There's an oxygen here. There's a couple things there. It is with the total structure of zolpidem, but it's not saying looking for the exact structure of zolpidem in something else.
It's not substructure in the system, what you're thinking of. We could highlight where the mentions here, you know,
but that
can be.
That's a perfect segue.
Yeah.
So if you drop it down below another search type is a substructure search. If you do that, you'll be able to see those things that would have that as a substructure. So yeah, it will highlight where it is in the molecule.
Similarity, we can't do that because
you technically can. It's just that it will be slightly misleading when you do. All right. So covered just some very basics about search. I would like to get into the potatoes of this discussion. I'll just wrap it up by saying, is there any just general questions about how you do some queries, how you do some searches?
Has anyone reported the phone button doesn't work? Use the reporter bug.
That's a great question. So the question is, has anyone reported the home button doesn't work? We did get a report of that yesterday, and another one today, and another one today. So I think there's a report. I found just that it works in certain cases. It seems to work fine. In other cases, it doesn't. No, this is just a set timeout issue of after about 30 minutes. Then you're relaunch and it's
Yesterday the search didn't.
No, it should do it.
How do they report it back?
Just when you want to go back to that screen.
and
Yeah, you in and things like that, research, Joe.
So I should mention that what you can do. Yeah, there are so very few in there now, it's not especially useful to search, but it is supported. The result page is not terribly useful at the moment, so what it will do is a basic local alignment search. But the result page doesn't make it obvious why.
honestly, now, go to them and get also the other antibodies with it. When we're adding starting materials, it can be probably same in the same picture. And down there you add manufacturer or add organization. That's a company to the page.
Herman's point was that in a similar way that you could expand on certain records, it would be nice if you're going to add information about manufacturing and so on. I think that will likely happen at the group 2 and 5 stuff. At the moment, there is nothing to add things like manufacturers, other than you could put it in as a note, and then it's somewhat useful. If you want to keep track of it for
so, but I saw the possibility to add them, and then it links to an organization document.
Yeah, so there's a distinction between a manufacturer and a naming organization. So the naming organizations are just organizations that are official naming. Those include things like INN and USAN and ISO.
Can you go back to that when we go to that point?
Yes. I think I'll make that point, Carmen, when we're doing the full registration. So we're going to do that next as soon as clear out the agenda.
Again, then you have substance, structure, name, organization, manufacturer, all coupled.